Okay, here's part 2. I didn't paint or anything in between times, between that clip and this clip. Okay, now I think I'm going to work on the darkest shadows. So I got a real little bitty brush, if you can see. Now, and if you've been kind of following, you know, me on eBay or, you know, on YouTube or just wherever, I like to do stuff in a cartoony type fashion. I can't help that. I have to have a little bit of whimsy in my life. But this dragon looks kind of cartoony. I might change that, you know, and if I change that, it will be evident, you know, at the very end when I'm done. I like to use a lot of bright colors like purples and blues and pinks. But to me, if I want to do something that kind of looks realistic, I mean, I can paint like realistic too. I just don't prefer that. But I will say this. If I'm like doing something that's realistic looking, I cannot have worked on something earlier in the day that was cartoony. Does that make sense? If I'm going to work on something realistic, I have to get into that mindset, and I can only paint in a realistic fashion that day. I can't jump from cartoony to realistic and then back to cartoony. I can't do that. But I didn't mean to rattle on there. But now what I've done is I've got a little bit of black on here, and you keep hearing me hit that camera. It's because I've got it. I've had to, like I said in that first video, I've had to fix it because the camera stand's broke. It's not standing on its own. I've had to tape it to hold it up. Now with my dragons and I'm just going around it where I feel like that I want my dark. And no, I probably don't want dark right there. But where I think that my dark should go. And sometimes I'll trail off, and I'm sorry. I'll trail off and get quiet. It's just because I'm trying to focus on this. I've probably got ADD. I can't help that either. But I'll probably want some shadow there. And with my dragons and fairies and stuff like that, the closer it is to the body, I like it darker there too. And I don't do this with every single painting I do. I bet some of them artists out there, if they're looking at this, are like, my God, she's crazy. What's she doing? Doing that much work. It's just, that's the way I do things. But I don't do this every single time. I'm just doing this right now, going ahead and putting a few shadows and stuff like that in, because I still, even at this point, don't know what color I'm going to paint this yet. It's not hit me yet. I'm thinking purple. I love painting with purple. I don't know why, it's my favorite color. I hate to say this. I don't like drab colors. And what I was saying before, now I've got a little bit of white on the brush, or lighter gray. Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say. Sorry. Yeah, gosh, for the first time in a long time, I'm kind of speechless right now at the minute. I guess because I'm concentrating so hard. It'll kind of, I want it to be lighter there. Oh, I know what I was saying. I have not forgot. I'm just, give me a second. And that paint is, whoops, that paint is kind of watered down. I didn't realize I was working outside of the frame. Sorry about that. Now, because that happened, I did forget what I was going to say. I think it had something to do with this, oh, it did. The way I'm doing this right now, I don't do this gray and white and black on every single painting. The only reason I'm doing this right now is because, like I said, I still haven't determined what color I'm going to paint this. Now, I'm talking about painting. You know, in that first video I said, it takes me a long time to paint an art card with acrylic paint. But now, like, if I do one with markers or watercolor, those don't tend to take me as long. But I still spend at least 2 hours. At least 2 hours on cards that are not painted, that's just like markers or watercolor or pencil, you know, just whatever. But okay, see, this is going to be the brightest point. I might make that a planet, or I might, with me not, and that's how come I'm doing this, because I still haven't even determined. I know this dragon is sitting on a mushroom. It's a little bitty dragon. I might put it in a forest, or I might put it, you know, with the night sky in the background. I just don't know yet. I might paint that mushroom out completely. That's the good thing about acrylic. You can always paint over it. But now when you do with markers, or you can't just go back and change it with markers, but you can acrylic. If I really, really wanted to, I could paint a fairy face standing in the background, or another dragon, or, you know, just whatever. That's probably why I like working with acrylics better than anything, because it's happened a lot of times before in the past. I'll totally change what it looks like on the canvas. And to some of the newer artists who are just kind of starting, there's been so many times, the most important advice I can give you is to not get frustrated. Because I'd be lying if I sat here and told you that I never got frustrated. There's been times that I have got so frustrated that I have been working on a painting before for 3 weeks. And I didn't like the way something looked on it, and if it was beyond the point of fixing to my taste, I just crumbled it and threw it in the garbage. If you enjoy what you do, you shouldn't get frustrated. I'm just putting a couple of places where I think highlights will be. The really good thing about this is I've taken some art classes before in the past from professional artists, and this was actually the method that he showed me when I first started. this black, gray, and white, because I was used to working on granite tombstones, black tombstones, and I was actually dremeling or engraving white on black, and that's very, very difficult when you've never done that before. But this was the method that he first introduced me to. He thought that at that time that it would suit my needs, and it did. I might have a little white right there. I think I was going to say something kind of relatively important, but I forgot what it was. Okay, now there's that much, and this video I think is probably, oops, I dropped my paintbrush, already probably 10 minutes, so as you can see I am really nowhere near to the point that I want to be. So what I'm going to do, I'll probably finish putting in the highlights and whites the way I want it, and then pick up in the next video after I've painted a little bit more, or we'll be here all day. So I'm going to go ahead and paint a little bit more, and then I'll tell you what I did and we'll go from there. See you next clip.